I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome. And so we're going to start. We have a couple of presentations tonight, and I think we're starting with Chief Martin.
Good evening.
Hi.
So tonight I have one of the more pleasant things I get to do in my position, and that is to introduce the future of the fire department and our new hires. So we have 6 new individuals that I want to introduce to you and eventually receive the oath of office this evening. I'm going to go through each one, tell you a little bit about them. We have quite a diverse group here as far as life experience and experience in the fire service. So I wanted to let everybody know a little bit about our new hires. The first individual is Justin Andler. He served 6 years in the United States Marine Corps. He finished as an infantry sergeant. He got his EMS and fire training at Great Oaks, where he was the honor graduate and the class president. He has a Bachelor of Science in Business Management, and he comes to us having worked at the City of Forest Park, Goshen Township, and Green Township Fire Departments. Next, we have Connor Dute. He is a firefighter paramedic. 2 of these new hires are paramedics. He is currently serving in the U.S. Army Reserves. He received his training from the Great Oaks Fire and EMS School. He is a graduate of the Archbishop of McNicholas High School, so just down the road. And he comes to us having worked for the Milford Fire Department. Next is Austin Taylor, a firefighter EMT. He has a bachelor's degree in business management. He also received his training in fire and EMS from the Great Oaks. He comes to us having worked for Madeira Indian Hill Fire Department and the Goshen Fire Department. Our next Connor is Connor Lowry. He is one of our 2 medics. He's a firefighter paramedic. He has an associate's degree in fire science. He went to Cincinnati State for his fire and EMS education. And he comes to us having worked for Union Fire Protection District in Northern Kentucky, as well as Green Township and Delhi Township. Zoe Chapman, she received her training in fire and EMS. She is a firefighter EMT from Great Oaks, where she was the class president. She comes to us having worked with Pierce Township. Finally, we have Dawson Haney, who is a firefighter EMT. He received his training in fire and EMS from the Great Oaks Institute, where he was the honor graduate. And before coming to us, he had been attending the University of Cincinnati studying architecture and made quite the leap into the fire service. And we are truly his first endeavor into the fire service. So you can see we have quite a diversified group. These positions were very competitive to get into. Every one of these individuals was head and shoulders above the other individuals that we talked with, and we are very happy to have them as part of the department. And I see great things for the department, given the quality of individuals that we're bringing in nowadays. So with that said, I would ask Mr. Johnson to please administer the oath of the fire department.
You're good. Yeah, it's a lot.
And to ethically and faithfully discharge the duties of my office. Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Hey, guys.
Welcome. Congratulations.
Line up over here so we can get pictures in front of the flag real quick.
Stellar crew. That's great.
Everybody's up here to get some pictures.
Get out of the photo. Thank you, and congratulations, and welcome aboard. Rick, great job. You're correct. What a diverse, stellar group of all-stars. Very exciting for us. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Unofficially calling you back up
You
here.
know, I get to introduce them, but the individuals along the wall here all had played the 99% of the work in getting them here. Chief Miners, who runs our training, and Lieutenant Cunningham, who runs our recruit class for 4 weeks, and trying to mix and match all the logistics of all the things they do. Those two individuals and all the instructors that they bring in do an amazing job at trying to bring them in, and people that are trained other places kind of teach them how Anderson does the fire service. So those individuals, along with everybody that welcomes into the house, is much more important in bringing them in than I am. So I want to thank them publicly.
Well said. True leadership. Thank you, Chief Martin. Okay, so then we do have another presentation.
Beautiful.
And I believe it is about Hillcrest Cemetery. Am I correct?
Yes.
And the
I
tree
think we're
committee.
going to switch gears a little bit. I apologize. We're just switching the agenda around just a little bit.
Sorry you had to leave.
You're fine, Colonel Mayor. Go right ahead.
Well, thank you. This is our annual trip to the trustee meeting and our opportunity to thank all of you again for your support and your partnership for taking care of the cemetery and helping our group when we need it, and actually coming down and participating for our ceremony. So I appreciate it. For those that might not know about the cemetery we have here in Anderson, we have over 5,000 souls in abandoned historic African-American cemetery that about 30 years ago, some very good people in the township started the coalition to say Hillcrest Cemetery. And our group's about the second generation of volunteers that are taking care of the cemetery. What we are doing here tonight, we'd like to honor two very distinguished volunteers. The first one I'd like to talk about real quick is Kim Jump. Kim started coming down to the cemetery and volunteering, and eventually we got her to come on the board. And if you've ever heard about Wreaths Across America, she took over the second year we started participating in Wreaths Across America, and it was the first time any cemetery in the greater Cincinnati area had a wreath for every veteran that was buried in the cemetery. And we have sustained that for the last 3 years, and that's all because of Kim's leadership. So Kim, if you could, please come up and accept your Volunteer of the Year award.
Yay.
And our second one kind of started out the same way. Started in the cemetery as a volunteer, actually when he was a trustee. Every time I've put out a call for help in the cemetery, this individual stepped forward. Eventually, I talked him into being on the board. He was instrumental in getting our shack down there so we didn't have to bring the tools every time we went down to the cemetery. He was on the team that initially looked at how we could straighten the tombstones, and instrumental in doing that. And then finally, one of the major things that I really deeply appreciate is when the current team got together and we decided to honor Don Bishop and put a monument down there. And there were several different objectives for that, but eventually it was Andrew that actually physically with the team set that where it is, and it's a great spot. But again, he's there for cleanups, he's there for the ceremonies, he's there to do parking. He's done everything for us, and he's been a great addition to the board. So Andrew, if you would, please. So again, I'd like to thank the township. You guys have been great partners. Love seeing y'all come out to the events. We used to have two major events, or one major event. It used to be Memorial Day, which was our big thing. But now with the addition of Wreaths Across America, it's really become a great community event. And it's good to see so many people from the township come out on that day and support us. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Colonel, the applause should go to you too, because you have been down there living, breathing it more than anybody, and we all appreciate the work that you've done and all the volunteers that you've recruited and everything. I mean, that place is completely turned around. I know it's been a lot of issues with that, and Vicky's been involved probably longer than anybody, but really appreciate it. It's a great place now because of the work and effort of all these people, so thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, losing my voice there. Okay, now we're going to move on. I'm sorry. To our tree committee presentations.
So tonight, our tree committee chair, John Halpin and Tim Kloppenberg, will present the activities from this past year in 2024 that the committee participated in. Can you use a clicker or use the...
I just wanted to say thank you very much for all the support that you give us as we try to support our overall tree canopy. And just as a side note, I sit on the foundation at Great Oaks, and we just received a $30,000 donation. I wish the firefighters were here, specifically for firefighters to be used towards their tuition.
Great.
Wow.
Good.
That's real nice.
That is nice. Thank you.
And so Tim will give the presentation.
Good.
We get to tag team, I guess.
Sounds good.
So I'll try to keep this relatively short. I see a lot of people. There are probably many people for some other things. If I get, well, this will work if nothing else. Oops. So the purpose really of having a tree committee is to promote our canopy, as John said. It's really to get all the wonderful advantages of shade and pollution reduction and help with the stormwater and so forth. And it really does include, help with the quality of life here. And if you think about it, our school district is Forest Hills. I mean, we love our trees here. So there's several things that we do. One of the big things is we have a fall tree planting program, and we've been doing this for about 15 years now. I'm real proud to say that now we've planted more than 1,000 trees that we give away to citizens when we're doing curb work, sidewalk work, street work, and so forth. And if you can see, over 500 streets have received some. My street has not, but a lot of them have. Our day is coming, I know, our year is coming. So this is a list of the trees that were offered this past year. And these are some pictures of them. People who like a light shade might have chosen a honey locust. Of course, oaks and maples are always popular. One of my favorites is really that hornbeam, and that one could almost have gone in the small category. I have 3 hornbeams in my yard pretty close to each other, and each one has a little different color in the fall. So that's just a great tree. And then, of course, the smaller trees that are flowering, those are very popular. A lot of people with a small yard really don't want to have a huge tree, and a lot of people want a real pretty tree. So that's good. So you see, we had well over 100 trees that year. And this map shows where we have planted the trees and what year. I think the staff did a great job on this. As you can see by the color coding, it's been year after year. And as you can see where they are, it's really pretty much all over the township. So I think that's a great visual to show people what we've done. And this is, I forgot what this one came out. We need to keep putting them in. Oh, I see. It's showing that it's close to 100 on all these. And the canopy. So skipping ahead to what we need to do, we're very proud to have been Tree City USA for 16 years. And there are certain standards you have to have. You have to have a board or department. We've got the tree committee. You have to have an ordinance, and we had Anderson's had an ordinance for a long time. You have to spend at least $2 in the annual budget for trees. And Anderson is really good with their money. It's $2 and a few cents. We qualify, but we don't go overboard. And then an Arbor Day observation. And usually that's the trustees plant a tree. We also have gone beyond that. There's Arbor Day has an award that they call the Growth Award if you go above and beyond the normal Tree City USA. And so there are several things that you do on that. You have to get a certain number of points. Every year as a tree committee, we look through the whole page after page of the kinds of things we can do and decide which ones we're going to do. So one of the things is the continuing education. Now, Stephen, he's not here tonight. Okay. Stephen's done 2 of the 4 years or 2 of the 4 sessions this year. The State Forester has a Tree Commission Academy, and usually over a 2-year period, you go 2 days full-time, and then you have 6 months worth of homework, and then come back. You do that 4 times over that. And we sort of colloquially call it tree school. And when my grandkids were in preschool, they thought it was really cool that Papa was in tree school. So, we all keep learning. The majority of people on our committee have been through this, so that's really good. And then several people on the committee are much better than John and I. We are enthusiasts and we've learned a fair amount. So if we were to look at this, I'd say, yes, I know a honey locust and a crabapple and a linden and all those. But we have on our committee landscape architects and certified arborists, and they help us pick the very exact tree that's going to be really good there. So which particular one do we want? Not just a crabapple, but this particular year it's royal raindrops. So survival monitoring is another thing that we do, and up until this year, the last several years, we've looked at trees that were planted 5 years ago and 10 years ago. And this year we're going to start looking at trees that were planted 15 years ago, because now our program has been in place quite a bit. And we are starting to track which species have done well and which species have not done well. And we're trying to compile all that information so we can better choose the trees that we give out in the future, but also so that we can give better advice to all our citizens, what really goes well. We are pleased that still quite a few of the trees that we put in are doing well. Now, you've got to understand, most of these are planted near the street. A lot of it's in compacted clay, and we are not taking care of them. Each homeowner is, and some homeowners are really good about taking care of their trees and some less so. So I think the fact that the majority are still good even after 10 years is really good. And then we advertise, we talk about it. We've got a lot of different things that we've done, the tree monitoring and so forth. And we're really working hard to keep this canopy as good as we can and expand it. One other thing that we've done, there are a few others, but I just want to point out one, is at the corner of Forest and, 8 Mile, is our 200-plus-year-old building, and we've created an arboretum around it. When we first started the arboretum, we had to make sure there were at least 25 species of trees, and we were able to identify up to 38. And since then, in the last 4 years, we planted quite a few more. And that's the building. I wanted to show a close-up of the sign that we've posted there. So you may not be able to see it in detail, but sort of along the streets and along the green space, the darker green is green space, there are a lot of little dots with numbers. Each one of those is one of those species of trees. We've got the common name and the Latin name. We've got a QR code on it so people can use their cell phone to get more information about it. And we're just really pleased. It's taken some time and effort, but we think we've got a really nice thing here, and we hope to continue to beautify it by adding more things. We hope to continue to work with some of the teachers to see if there could be some educational opportunities for the kids. And I think we've got a real little gem here. So what are we doing this year? Well, we've adopted the plan for managing the trees. And on April 3rd, do you know what time that is you guys are planting?
We're trying to do it around 1 or 1:30 on the 3rd.
Okay, around 1 o'clock, 1:30 on the 3rd. And that's going to be at the Arboretum, I believe,
Yes.
this year again. Okay, so they're planting a tree there. And we'll go for the Growth Award again. We have a lot of things that we try to communicate with people. The third to the last bullet there is important, I think, because now we've been through the first 5 years of the Arboretum, and it's time to update the master plan. And anybody who's involved in urban planning knows it makes sense every 5 years to update your master plan. Things sort of change and go out of date a little bit. I'm expecting quite a bit of continuation, but I hope we've got some improvements, that we've got ideas there. We'll see. And this is our committee. And like I said, we are blessed with a lot of good people, including some people who are much better trained in trees than John and I are. So thank you very much for all your support.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
So first of all, I love this so much. And to you both, where did John go?
He's there.
Great job. I love how you I love how you partnered together to do the presentation. You're just a very gifted presenter, you know that. I have so loved working with both of you and the tree committee at large for the past 4 years. And you can sit down if you want to, because I got the gift of gab here. But it has been a lot of work over these 4 years, and I think a lot of work very silent in the background. And just to address about everyone getting a tree, it's when streets are paved, so that's why you've seen it spread around, to the work on the Arboretum and the signage, the Tree City Awards and going and supporting that. One thing that I think is not really realized is there is a lot of angst in the community whenever there's development or private property being developed. And the tree committee lends their expertise and makes recommendations about how to keep that canopy even with development. You all have worked so hard, and it's so appreciated. And that the work that's been done to see all those trees still here. I love that map that showed where they're all spread. That will be here for some years, so thank you so much. Good job.
If Mrs. Lustin, if I may. The other thing I think that's really important and something that's near and dear to my heart is the History to Schools program. So every year since 2013, if not earlier, Anderson Township hosts every second grade student in the Forest Hill School District. So for 6 days each year, our staff, the Anderson Township Historical Society volunteers, we do a field trip here for second graders. Today was one of those days. We had Summit Elementary on Tuesday. We had Maddox Elementary today. And the students rotate from station to station. They learn about the importance of planning and keeping those plans updated and using those plans to better the community. They also learn about fire equipment, sheriff's equipment, public works, and other aspects. They do a bike rodeo, just a lot of information. But one of the highlights is the tree, the Arbor Day presentation that Mr. Drury does. Each student leaves here with a tree. Today they all got a bald cypress. The group that was here on Tuesday got a redbud tree. Mm-hmm. So we provide trees to those children to take home to plant in their yards or to give to family members to plant. And by doing that with the different species, that helps to encourage native species throughout the township, and also, disperses it so each neighborhood has a little bit different flavor. And, the kids love it. It's very educational. And you would be amazed the answers that Paul got today when he was asking the students about how important trees are and how they benefit the community. So I just wanted to touch on that as well, because that is a huge program for us. So thank you.
Let me add just one bit to that. Since I've been on the tree committee for a dozen years or so, there have been a lot of people I've met, and when they hear I'm on the tree committee, they say, "Oh, our Annie got a little pine tree when she was in second grade. Look how big it is."
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So cool.
That's a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Yes, thank you again. Okay, so now we will switch gears here to public forum. So individuals who wish to address the board should state their name and address for the record, make their points as clearly and concisely as possible, and limit their comments to a maximum of 3 minutes, which may not be shared with or yielded to others. All comments shall be directed to the Board of Township Trustees. Thank you in advance for your comments.
Hi, good evening. My name is Katie Nappy. I live at 644 Watchpoint Drive. And I just had a really brief ask. I hope that the trustees will provide transparency around the process and timing for the upcoming community survey related to Beach Acres. Beach Acres Park is very near and dear to my family, to this community. I know I personally have a lot of angst about the discussions that have been happening, and would love to have much more transparency and an understanding of the timing for the community input for that. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Going once? Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Roy Hall, 2884 Lengo Road.
Hi, Mr. Hall.
I would like some response from the board in the future, not necessarily today, on an event I saw and witnessed and was kind of part of, an assault on a former trustee, and the fact that nothing's really being done about it. And I know we hire the Sheriff's Department to police. Having grown up in the inner cities of Chicago and Cleveland, I had to deal with this kind of stuff on a daily basis. I did not expect to, after working my ass off, studying hard, becoming a physician, and moving into this a community such as this, that I'd have to deal with this. The fact of the matter is, I know if I would shove a police officer at a traffic stop, shove a transgender person, shove a woman, shove almost anybody, I'd be in the back of a police car pretty fast. And the fact that nothing happened to this individual, barely a stern talking to, is a big problem for me. And this is my community, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing. We're not addressing some issues. I mean, Kroger's becoming like a lockdown camp. And again, we're responding reflexively. We're not taking active roles to do anything about these things. And so I would like the board to give some thought to what can be done and to address these issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Any other public comments? Thank you both for making your voices heard. Thank you. Okay, moving on to trustee comments.
I
I know why. I know. I get it.
In my way.
It was my nemesis for 2
Yeah.
years.
You have 3 minutes, Dee.
Okay, no.
No.
Well, I was going to say
Speak on
about
it,
history to schools, first of all. Yeah, the kids today loved it.
Oh, it
I
was
was
you.
here both, it was me,
Okay.
Summit Tuesday and today. And we're giving big trees today. This year, it's like, whoa, those are big.
Nice little saplings.
Yeah, so I hope they all get planted. And just a couple of things that we've been working on. Our implementation committee meets quarterly, and they met, and this is volunteers in the community. They met last Tuesday, I think it was last Tuesday, and we got it the week before. And just really good discussions in the community on, there's various subcommittees on that. One, recycling and just various things. So that was good, and we thank all the volunteers for that. And then I'm also on the Senior Center Advisory Committee, and we met today, and we have a very active senior center, and we have actually 106 first-time members just this year. We're constantly growing it, adding new programming, and we do great work up there. So anyway, just wanted to give them a plug because they do great work. So, and I think that's it for me.
Very nice.
Yeah, Senior Center is awesome. One, in terms of the incident you talked about, Lieutenant Dave Downing is the District 5 commander, so if you want to stick around and have a conversation, I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to you about it. And Ms. Nappy, thank you for being here and bringing that to the attention to the entire community, because like you, I've had a lot of angst over the discussions, or should I say lack thereof, at the Park District about what's going on with Beach Acres. In fact, you have a commitment from, I think, everybody on this board, including the staff sitting on either side of us, that we will be very transparent on what's going on at Beach Acres, because maybe you didn't know this board, myself specifically, are the ones that said we need to engage the community and ask the community what they want to see on Beach Acres, which was not going on before at the Park District. So what's great about your comments is that we are totally aligned with what you just said. So thank you for being here and bringing that up, because, again, I think everybody up here wants the best for what's going on at Beach Acres, and we are damn committed to making sure that happens. And all the little conversations going on social media, which I know maybe or maybe not some of the people in this room are a part of, there is no intent to build 500 apartments. Again, Paul, I know when I call you out. Did we tell people, no, we don't want that? Thank you, Paul. So this idea that myself or anyone else wants to see massive development on Beach Acres is a total lie. And anybody talking about it online is lying. And I wonder why they're doing that. Dee, do you know why they're doing that? Any idea? Lexi, why are they doing that? I'm guessing because it's politically motivated hate over certain things that they don't disagree with. But the one thing we all agree on is what is best for this community. I know that's why you're here. You and I have had this conversation, and I appreciate the fact that's why you're here, which is great. We all want the same thing. And that is what's going to happen on Beach Acres. The best thing for this community, because it is a valuable, now more than ever, a very valuable piece of property. And we all want the best. And we all want to see great things happen with the Beach Acres Park. So thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you, both. And so I will also just make a comment about transparency. It's something that's extremely important to me. And something also is very important to me is my role as a trustee. There's no my agenda. There's no real one trustee either. We function as a board. We communicate as a board and in public, maybe in this room in exec session with the door closed. But so first of all, you have access to our discussions as a board. You have my commitment that I function within the rules of the Ohio Revised Code as far as communication. And so when we make a decision about surveying or we discuss that, we do take meeting minutes. And when property or when something belongs to the community at large, the trustees feel the most important input is the community. And so in a survey process, to then have secrets or things like that kind of defeats the whole purpose, and it loses that value of getting the input if there's little silos of pockets of information that the community doesn't have. So that is something that, from sitting in this seat, I will commit to you, that's never something I would take place in. So what we know, what I know as a trustee, and the information we discussed, there's going to be mini minutes, and it's information that belongs to you and that you would have access to. So thank you both. And
Mrs.
Yes.
Lawson, I'm sorry. If
No,
I
you're fine.
may just point out that item 13E under my portion of the agenda relates to the survey that's being discussed.
Thank you again. Thank you. So, okay, finally switching gears to the fiscal officer, Brian.
All right, you have the February financials in front of you. And last month, you might remember that I said we'd collected about $5.25 million on our advance that was in January. And so then we had $15.7 million advance that got booked in February. So that's reflected in there. The collections overall, compared to last year, are ahead. So, and now we do have, we have an estimate of what we're going to collect for the year. So, we might collect more in some areas, we might collect less, but if we can collect it sooner, which that's what we're doing right now, then we can put that money to work and earn some interest. So, general fund and all funds in general are ahead of last year. Item B, we do have a resolution that we need for the then and nows. Seems to me that we haven't had many for a while, but this is where the invoice came before we could get a purchase order, and it's above the dollar limit that I can approve, so this is going to the board.
I move to adopt a resolution authorizing payments as described by the fiscal officer.
Second. Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
And then on a related note, that we have, we've engaged Bonefish to help analyze our payments for compliance and for fraud detection. So that is now implemented this month. So whenever we get a batch of payments ready, that gets uploaded to Bonefish. It analyzes it and then compares it to what we've paid, so far this year. If it might rise to the level of needing bidding, or it does fraud checks with addresses and maybe a fictitious vendor or something like that. So that started this month and it seems to be going pretty well.
Great.
And then we have a set of minutes for February 6th. I move to adopt or approve the minutes from February 6, 2025.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes. Thank you, Brian. Okay, moving over to our law director, Margaret.
Good evening. In your packet, there are two separate resolutions that relate to the use of credit cards and credit accounts by the township officials. And the first resolution you've seen before every 6 months, or at least every 6 months. As the compliance officer, I'm required to review various points of data in the credit statements, and I appreciate very much the assistance of Katie Arnold, who keeps track and bundles those for me, and we look through them and make sure that we've checked off the items we're required to check off under the statutory requirements. So that report is attached to the first resolution, which is before you for approval.
I move to adopt a resolution accepting the credit card compliance report of the law director as compliance officer provided pursuant to the Anderson Township credit card account policy.
Second. Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you. The second resolution that is before you this evening is a resolution approving and adopting an updated or revised policy regarding your credit cards and credit accounts. And we do this every time a new account is opened because we list them, and you can see from the exhibits to the resolution that there are various steps we take to implement their use. So the township, under Katie's guidance, is pursuing the use of an Amazon business account where you have access under a tax-exempt program that they offer. So the policy has been updated to accommodate for that account, and it's now called your Anderson Township Credit Card Account and Credit Account Policy, and the resolution is before you for its adoption.
I would like to say that the Ohio Township Association negotiated that deal
Yes.
with Amazon, so, yeah.
Yes. So
Very,
it's
very
new.
proud of that.
So it's new.
Well,
That's
brand
why
new.
it hasn't been done before.
Yeah, yeah.
It's new.
Yeah.
And
Thank
it
you
saved us
for that.
thousands, well,
Yeah.
all townships,
Yeah.
thousands of dollars, so.
Big deal.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank
Huge.
you,
Very
OTA.
helpful.
Okay, I move to adopt a resolution approving and adopting the Anderson Township Credit Card Account and Credit Account Policy, March 2025, repealing Resolution Number 24-0411-07 as of this date, and confirming the designation of the Township's Law Director as the Township's Compliance Officer to perform the duties required of the Compliance Officer required under said policy.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Okay, finance, Tammy Disk. Hi,
Hi.
Tammy.
Okay, the board has before them a motion to authorize a $300 contribution to the American Legion Post 318 to offset cost associated with observing the Memorial Day holiday.
Could you move the microphone a
Oh, I'm so
little bit closer
Sorry.
to you? Sorry, it's just not picking up. Thanks.
So,
Okay.
Okay.
sorry about
$300 to the American Legion.
Yeah, I move, are you
Yeah,
finished? Okay.
yes.
I move to authorize a Memorial Day contribution of $300 to American Legion Anderson Post 318 for the purpose of properly observing Memorial Day with the township as permitted by Ohio Revised Code Section 307.66.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Yes.
One of the best things that happens
Mm-hmm.
in this community.
And that, we'll be sending out information on that whole thing
It'll
soon,
be
right?
on our page.
Yes, and it'll be in our newsletter, which is coming out soon as well.
Yes, exactly. That's where it
Yes.
was. I know I saw it somewhere. Thank you.
Okay, the next thing is the board has before them a resolution to approve the 2025 permanent budget. Since the interim meeting, there has been updates to the amounts in 4 funds. The most significant change is in TIF Fund 14, which has increased by $1.34 million. The bulk of that is because we increased the school distribution by $1 million. What we're receiving so far in advances is exceeded what we estimated, so we're projecting we're going to have to pay out more to the schools. It also includes $65,000 for Anderson Trails, $250,000 for the Beachmont and 5 Mile CFI, as well as $25,000 for the Senior Center Pavilion design. Overall, the budget from what was presented at the interim has increased by $1.396 million. And while the proposed budget currently stands at $72.6 million, the actual expenditures may be lower. It's largely dependent on how capital projects progress.
No, that makes perfect sense. Thank you, Tammy.
You know, since the Park District was brought up, Vicki, do you want to talk a little bit about maybe how much money we have sent through TIF and other funds to the Park District?
Yes, and, you know, one of the things, the TIF dollars come to the township, and as Tammy said, we pay the school district. So the school district is held harmless. They get every dime that they would have received had a TIF not been in place. With the Park District, that's a little bit different scenario. However, the township over the years has donated property. We have paid for trails. we have purchased, this board authorized the purchase of the Anderson Township Recplex, which is owned by the Board of Township Trustees. The Board of Township Trustees also borrowed money, got a bond for the renovations of that Recplex to the tune of $3 million. The revenue from that is coming from the anthology, now the Ashton TIFF. And the school district agreed to contribute $33,333 a year to pay for part of that. The Park District contributed $500,000 toward the purchase of the Recplex. That cost was $1.5 million. That was paid from our 1994 TIF. When you combine all of the property exchanges, Clear Creek Park was donated by the township. There were other properties. I don't have the list in front of me right now. I'm doing this from memory.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
But no, that's fine. It's close to $6 million that Anderson Township has contributed to the parks in either direct cash for projects, purchasing of property, donation of property, since the 94 TIF was put in place. So I would estimate that the amount of money that the township has contributed to the Park District exceeds what they would have gotten had they been held harmless in that 94 TIF. There are also, the ongoing maintenance and that we pay for the Recplex, those types of things. The Park District does contribute to some, pest control and different things. But yes, there have been lots and lots of projects over the years that have been funded by the Board of Township Trustees through the TIF for the Park District.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments on the
No.
budget?
Thank you.
With that, I move to adopt a resolution approving the 2025 permanent budget.
Second, sorry.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, planning and zoning. Paul.
So as was mentioned during our tree presentation, one of the requirements to maintain our Tree City USA status is for the trustees to pass a resolution declaring Arbor Day in the township. This year, National Arbor Day is being celebrated on April the 25th, 2025. So there's a resolution before you for your consideration.
I move to adopt a resolution declaring April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in Anderson Township.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, fire and rescue. Chief Martin.
Good evening again. The fire department has 3 items for your consideration this evening. The first is a resolution to sell some obsolete or unfit for use items that are listed in Exhibit A on the govdeals.com website. There is no cost, again, to the township for that process. The bidder pays the premium. There's a resolution for your consideration to place those couple items on the GovDeals site.
I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the sale of surplus equipment pursuant to Section 505.10 of the revised code, providing for sale of personal property via internet auction.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you. The second item we have is to sell a 2010 Ford Explorer by the same process. I put this on a separate document just because people usually want to know the particulars when we deal with a vehicle. This vehicle is a 2010 Explorer. It recently had basically a transmission disintegration, and our mechanic has told us that it either needs a complete rebuild or needs a new transmission. The estimated cost is $4,000 to $4,500. Our Kelly Blue Book value with the miles that are on it equates to $4,332. So our proposal is to place it on GovDeals as is for a minimum price of $500. We think that's the best financial alternative for that particular vehicle that's also suffering extensive corrosion. So there's a resolution relative to that transaction for your consideration as well.
I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the sale of surplus equipment pursuant to Section 505.10 of the revised code, providing for a sale of personal property via internet auction.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you. The third item, it's always contentious, and I always have concerns when I deal with purchasing a vehicle for the fire department, because the delivery dates are now anywhere from 3 years to 5 years if it's a truck. So before you tonight is a resolution that would authorize the township administrator to enter into a contract with PennCare Inc. for the purchase of a new paramedic unit. This is important to our expanding fleet and our growing personnel that we're bringing on. I just wanted to mention also, our maximum personnel is 72. The individuals we hired tonight bring us to 71. So we're getting there. We always, with 70 people every year, we lose a couple through with a 25 or 30-year career. So we're constantly fighting there. But with our new level, we're trying to put 5 paramedics staffed on the street at all times. And looking ahead in our planning for the future, this medic unit, if ordered now, will not arrive for best case scenario 3 years. So we're constantly looking forward, trying to plan for today. That's also why there's an allowance in the cost of the unit. Right now, this unit is, if we would get under contract today, would be $348,000. With the increases in costs, we never know where it's going to be. The good thing about this is, well, the thing that's holding us back is that we're basically in line. What's holding this off is we're just standing in line for the chassis for 2.5 years. So when that chassis becomes available, it's then purchased at the state minimum price, the state Ohio bid price, the cheapest we can get it, and only then will we know the exact price of the vehicle when it comes back to us. So there's a resolution for your consideration to allow that contract be entered into subsequent to being approved by legal counsel.
I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the acquisition of emergency medical service equipment and the execution of an agreement with PennCare Inc. relating thereto pursuant to Section 505.101 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's all for the fire department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got to
Thanks,
get
Chief.
that locked down.
Yes. Hamilton County Sheriff's Lieutenant Downing. Nothing tonight, thank you. Public Works. Hello, Eric.
Good evening. We have a couple things tonight. First off is the Hamilton County Adult Probation Contract. For a number of years, Hamilton County Adult Probation Department has provided mowing services to the township on 4 of the township cemeteries: Asbury Methodist Episcopal, Rose Hill, Bridges Family Burial Ground, and Hillcrest Cemetery. They have also completed other work as assigned, and our staff is recommending that we continue this contractual relationship at an annual cost of $28,000 a year, beginning July 1st, 2025, and continuing through June 30th, 2028. And there's a motion before you this evening for that.
I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the township administrator, after consultation with the law director, to execute a contract with the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners on behalf of the Hamilton County Adult Probation Department in substantially the form before the board to provide for cemetery maintenance services from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028 at a cost not to exceed $28,000 per year.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is we're seeking authorization to purchase a new salt truck for 2025. So as the board is aware, Public Works budgeted 2025 TIF dollars for the purchase of a new Freightliner M2106 conventional chassis truck with a dump body, snowplow, salt gate, all the different stuff for the upfitting of the truck from W.A. Jones. This truck is identical to the same trucks that we purchased last year, and it's the same basic design that we've bought since, I think, 2016. The state purchase price for the Freightliner is $106,238 even, along with a trade-in of $14,000 for one of our older trucks, Truck 15. It is a 2003 International 7400 series single axle dump that has a little over 30,000 miles. And this also has significant rust damage to the body and frame of this vehicle. We received 2 quotes for snow and ice equipment packages from Henderson and W.A. Jones, who are both members of the Natural Purchase Partners Government and Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing. And we would like to move forward with the best price, which was from W.A. Jones at $113,955. And with that, I am recommending that we purchase a 2026 Freightliner cab and chassis truck for the total purchase price of $220,193, utilizing the state bid purchase process, less the trade-in of $14,000, which brings the final cost to $206,193. And that's before you this evening.
As an expert in snow plowing, I'm happy to
Are you an
take
expert
this.
now? Okay.
Yeah.
Anytime.
I move to authorize the purchase of a model year 2026 M2 106 Plus conventional chassis setback axle truck for public works use and the disposition of a surplus public works motor vehicle pursuant to section 505.10A3 of the Ohio Revised Code as a trade-in against said purchase and related equipment for said truck from the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program, an intergovernmental purchasing cooperative pursuant to section 9.48 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all we have this evening.
Thank
Thanks.
you, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay, finally, our Township Administrator, Vicki Earhart.
Yes, there'll be 3 of us presenting this evening. Mr. Magna is up first.
Good evening.
Hello.
Sorry about the voice, I'm getting sick.
Oh, no.
Great.
I have 2 items for you tonight. The first one is a motion to award a contract for design services for the Anderson Township Senior Center Pavilion to KBA Incorporated at a contract amount of $35,000 with a 10% contingency of $3,500 to cover reimbursables. 1994 TIF funds in the 2025 budget will cover these costs. Again, you have a motion for your consideration.
This came up at the Senior Center Advisory Committee today because this is something we've been working on for a while now. And it's
Yes.
going to be an outdoor pavilion. So our seniors, when it's nice out, like in beautiful weather, so they kind of want to sometimes go outside and eat lunch or whatever. So it'll be a nice covered pavilion and it's going to be very well utilized. So I move that this board hereby accept the proposal of $35,000 from KBA Incorporated for design and bidding services for the Anderson Township Senior Center Pavilion, together with a 10% contingency for a maximum appropriation of $38,500 funded in 1994 TIF funds in the 2025 budget. And further, this board hereby authorizes and directs the Township Administrator, after consultation with the Law Director, to enter into contract with KBA Incorporated for the Anderson Township Senior Center Pavilion.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item for your consideration is a resolution authorizing the Township Administrator to designate a natural gas supplier to provide services for the township facilities and to enter into an agreement with the designated natural gas supplier. Again, you have a resolution for adoption.
Yeah, and I think it should be said too that the aggregation program we have is has definitely saved our residents money. But as we all know, costs are going up. No one can
No one knows
stop it.
how high.
All we can do is try and negotiate or try and work towards some type of effort to mitigate those costs. The aggregation program, our buying power as a community is absolutely part of that initiative. So, Mark, I know you've spent a ton of time on this, so thank you, and trying to save the residents money. I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the Township Administrator to designate a natural gas supply provider to the township for township facilities accounts and authorizing the Township Administrator to enter into an agreement with the designated natural gas supply provider.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Get some rest.
Yeah, I'm glad I was sitting next to you all day at that meeting, Mark.
Really, get some rest.
Okay.
Mr. Severs is up next.
Yeah, and I was at the far end of the table.
Yeah, I
so-
was right next to him. I'm like, what?
Take
My
your
blessings
vitamin
at this
C.
point. So, as Ms. Disk mentioned earlier, we had a couple of adjustments stemming from the budget you saw previously at the interim workshop meeting. One of those items is the Patterson Road sidewalk project. This, as you know, was completed in 2022. Staff's been working since that time with the Ohio Department of Transportation to bring closure to this project. It had a very long history leading up to that. At the end of the day, their change orders and other adjustments from that project resulted in additional expenditure. As a result, there's a motion before you to authorize an additional payment to the ODOT, for those contingency items utilizing 1994 TIF funds.
I move to authorize the additional payment of $60,716.98 in 1994 TIF funds to the Ohio Department of Transportation for contingency expenditures resulting from the Transportation Alternative Grant-funded Patterson Road Sidewalk Project.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item we have for the board's consideration is the agreement for police protection services with Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. The agreement before you has a couple of changes from the agreement that we've had in the past several years. And this is, we would propose that rather than having a community resource officer and a crime prevention officer, that the contract we would enter into would provide for 2 crime prevention officers. Those individuals are both heavily involved in meeting with the HOA groups, homeowners association groups, making sure that we are deploying speed trailers when we get complaints or concerns about speeding on various township roads, analyzing the data along with Mr. Severs, who assists with that. And this will provide some, some backup to have those 2 crime prevention officers. Excuse me, minus seasonal allergies, so you're all safe. This would also continue the services that we have become accustomed to with funding 1 regional enforcement narcotics unit officer, including the 5 beats, the 5 beats through the township for patrol officers, our additional traffic safety officers, the 2 school resource officers. The township pays for 1 school resource officer. The school district reimburses us for the 2nd school resource officer. We pay for both vehicles for those individuals as well as other vehicles. This agreement would also, there's one additional change, and that is Ellie Backscheider, who was a sheriff's officer many, many years ago and functioned as a patrol clerk up at District 5. About 16 years ago, she became a township employee and has continued to serve in that role. We have learned that Mrs. Backscheider is moving closer to home. She has accepted another position, and she spoke very, very highly. I understand Ms. Parker, in her exit interview of the township, she did not wish to leave, but she wanted to get rid of her hour and 45-minute commute to and from work every day. So we are losing Mrs. Backscheider, and we've met with Lieutenant Downing and worked through Major Kettman. What we're recommending is that position return to a sheriff's officer. So that would be a patrol officer clerk who would fill that role up at District 5, would also be available to go out on the street if needed. And Hamilton County Sheriff's Office has agreed to split the cost of that position with the township, which reduces our cost for that position. In addition to all these items, the board had requested that we continue our flock camera program in conjunction with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. It is important to note these are flock cameras that help the Sheriff's Office track when people have perhaps committed a crime. It tracks their license plate. It is not related to speed or traffic citations. This is a tracking system that is available that helps with stolen vehicles or, some other type of crime. The board has asked that we increase the number of flock cameras in the township for security. So this agreement would allow the township over a 3-year period to increase up to 50 additional cameras. We already have 16, 6 of which are paid for by the county and 10 of which are paid for by the township. So that agreement is before you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer it. Otherwise, we would ask for authorization, and this would be a 3-year agreement with the sheriff.
I just want to say, this township and the residents, taxpayers have made a significant investment in public safety, both Hamilton County Sheriff and Chief Martin, your team under the fire department. So it is important to everyone on this board, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we take that investment and provide the best service possible. And I think what you just described, we are doing that. Anything we can do to not only capture or go after the people that come in here and commit crimes, but also prevent them, and those cameras I think are a big part of that.
Yes.
Is important because of the investment that our residents have made. So thank you for all the work that you guys have spent on that contract.
Okay. I move to adopt a resolution approving agreement for police protection services and authorizing execution thereof.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes. Thank you. The next item is related to the agreement that the Park District intends to enter into, and I believe they may have already entered into, with Branstetter Carroll for a community engagement study. As previously mentioned, the community engagement study is something that this Board of Township Trustees pushed for. The Park District previously done some studies. For example, they did a survey with existing dog park users to see if there was a need for an additional dog park. But what is being proposed here would engage the entire community so that park users and those that perhaps don't use the parks but are still taxpayers paying for the park district and the park services would have input into what may or may not be available at Beach Acres Park moving forward. So when this was originally proposed, the Board of Trustees had offered to pay for the study to make sure that the entire community had input. Through discussions with the Park District and the Park Board had elected to pay for the survey and enter into the contract themselves. Mr. Girth and I and Sarah Donovan, one of our planners, have been involved at the table in interviewing potential consultants to conduct this survey along with representatives from the Forest Hill School District. Our 3 entities have been working in conjunction with each other to get this survey together. The agreement with the Burgess and Nyepel, Branstetter Carroll, wrong project, Branstetter Carroll, which would provide for this community engagement survey. It would include not only survey through telephone or written survey, it would also provide for public open house. It would provide for gathering input at community events. It would provide for focus group discussion. They would reach out to members of the community, whether there are sports teams that are involved, senior center members, the community at large, to try to gather information. And then that information would be put together and shared with the community as a whole. One of the things that, in reading through the agreement the Park District plans to enter into, that I want to stress and make clear is I think it's imperative when people are talking about the Park District, and we experienced this earlier this week during History to Schools when we had some chaperones here. And we were talking about our green space program, and some of the residents said, boy, the Park District's got a great green space program. Well, the green space is owned and managed by Anderson Township Trustees. The Park District owns Julius Park. They own Beach Acres. There are a lot of amenities the Park District owns. Some folks get confused that the trail system, the Anderson Trail Systems, is owned and maintained by the Park District. It is not. It is the Anderson Township Board of Trustees. We also have confusion that often arises between Great Parks. Great Parks owns Woodland Mound and Withrow Nature Preserve. So, and the school district, I'll throw them in as well. The school district owns some property, and it's just confusing for the general public. We're very close to it. We know who owns what, who operates what. But from the public's perspective, things kind of get muddled. If it's green space, if it's open space, if it's a trail, there's an assumption that it's owned or operated by the park district. If there's some other type of function, it's assumed that it's owned by the township or the school district. So I think one of the things that's very important about this survey when it goes out to the public is so when questions are asked about park facilities, that we're very clear about what those park facilities are. I think it's important that the public knows what answers they're giving, how it's applicable to the various different political subdivisions that are involved here in the township. At any rate, an email that I got, and Mr. Girth, you were copied on this email as well, from the Park District. I talked about the cost for this survey, which is $50,000 for the consultant to do this project. The email that we received from the Park District asked, and I will quote, "Please also let me know your level of monetary commitment for this project," end quote. So my question to the board tonight is, given your previous desire to help provide funding, or at one point fund the entire survey, now we're being asked to provide funding for this, and I need some direction from the board so I can get back to the Park District. I do not know, the school district was also copied on this survey. I do not know if the school district intends to contribute or not, but I would ask for your guidance on this.
And just to follow up on something you said at one point we offered to pay for the whole thing.
Yes.
That, they declined that offer. Is
Yes.
that, as, I
Yes.
just want to be clear on that. We offered that and they said no.
Yes.
Okay. So, but now they are coming back and want us to pay a portion.
Well, they're, I wouldn't say they're not demanding it. I read the quote right there, if our level of monetary commitment. I think what they're asking for is if we wish to contribute. And again, this was asked of the school district as well. I don't know what the school district's position is.
So are they wanting us to contribute what we originally discussed?
That's all I have.
No, I think it's
Okay.
open-ended.
Okay, well,
So it could be if the board wanted to make a partial contribution or no contribution at all. I
don't mind paying for let's have the discussion. I don't mind paying for part of this. And I'm just going back to your question, where's the transparency? We have been working on this for a long time, and I'll tell you how this came to be. Because I have been asking for a survey since a year, whenever they bought the property. And they spent $6.3 million on a piece of property. And within a month, a magazine from the Park District came out saying, we're going to put a dog park on it, and a basketball court over here, and a little thing over here. It was all chopped up. It was a mess without any input from the community on that, none. The only thing they did was do a survey at the current dog park of 150 members of the dog park. That's 100, and I bet the answer, the response on a survey is usually not very good. So if they got 50% of those people to respond, that's how many people responded to say we want a dog park. Now, I'm sorry, you do not put a dog park on a $6 million piece of property with 100 people saying we want a dog park. So I went to their meeting after that. I went to the park board meeting and said, we need a survey. We need a survey. You cannot just willy-nilly throw stuff on a $6 million piece of property. Ask this community what they want. Now, this is the result of that. Josh has been working very hard on this to get this survey. So all these complaints out there are, I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know where this lack of... I'm speaking and I'm sorry.
No, this is not...
I'm just telling you I'm not attacking you. I'm attacking all this.
No. It's not a back and forth.
It's not a back and forth because I'm not attacking you, Katie, but I am tired of all this stuff that's been on Facebook because A lot of it is not factual. A lot of it, and you want to know the facts, why don't people go to the Park District meetings and listen to their meeting and listen to the last one where they talked about they need a levy so bad because they don't have any money. So if people want to help the parks, they should volunteer to run the Park District levy so that it passes. That would be a great place to help the park at this time because they're in desperate need of people to run the Park District levy. That's them, that's not us. But this survey is very much needed, so I am willing to pay something to help it because this is a community asset. $6 million, or probably $7 million once you add it on the fees, of our community dollars were spent on this piece of property. Let's not, what does the community want on it? That's what this is about. So all this other stuff that's on Facebook, I don't know what it is, I don't know where it's come from, but here's the survey. And when you get the survey, tell your friends to fill it out. That's all we're asking. Okay, I'm done.
Well, Dee, that was well said. There's a lot there. And here's where I'm coming from. So when I first became a trustee, the Park District did have a list of things that they wanted at partnership, and by partnership they wanted funds from the township. And what was my first question? What's the plan? What's the priority? How are you going to maintain it? Who asked for this? That was my question. And my biggest thing was you've got to go to the community and see, this is not your property. It belongs to the community at large. They have a say-so. If you haven't been there in 4 months, you still have a voice in what happens there. And so to Dee's point, because this information has come out in little silos and certain people are asked if you're on an email list, this is why I am willing to partner with this and to financially support this survey, because that was my other question. Okay, is it going to be like a corporate survey that I'm used to, where we've got an outside person coming in, we've got digital, we've got handwritten, we've got focus groups, we've got a forum, we've got an open house, we publish the results, we got preliminary reports, blah, blah, blah. This is what we wanted. We wanted to be able to poll the entire community and present a package of something that the community at large wanted. Not one person or a group's passion project, but something that everybody could be satisfied with on very important, valuable property. So all that to say, yes, if that's what it's going to take for us to have some ownership in the process and full transparency to the results, all of them, yes, it's worth that investment for us to get that information for the community, yes.
And I will say one other thing on this. Once we fill out this survey, let's remember, whatever the community decides, yes, we'd like this, that has to be paid for. Whatever everybody decides, if everybody decides, oh, it needs to be whatever, a rec center, whatever, that also has to be paid for out of taxpayer dollars. So,
maintained.
And maintained. And maintained. You can't just build something and not maintain it. So, just everybody be aware. Be careful what you ask for.
Will surveys explain that?
Well,
I haven't seen the survey, so I don't know.
Well,
It's not developed yet.
Yeah, exactly. Did you want to weigh in?
I think you guys did a great job. Thank you.
Is there a dollar amount that the board wishes to contribute? Because
So our original contribution suggestion, I thought was like 30 or something like that. I was comfortable with that. I don't know if we have to look back to see what is the final cost, what if the school district wants to go in on it as well.
I doubt if the school district's going in. Let's be honest. The school district's not going in on this. Let's just split it 50-50.
Yeah, I think contingent
with that.
upon any funds from the school district, it sounds like we're willing to contribute and be a true partner and split it.
Absolutely.
50%.
Yeah.
in that case, I would ask that the board make a motion to approve up to $25,000 to fund a community engagement study in partnership with the Anderson Park District.
So moved.
Second.
Well done.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
This might be a good time to bring up the fact that we are also taking interviews for park board commissioners.
Yes.
Which is the one thing that we do have authority over on the park board. And I'd also like to remind the viewing audience that of all the park commissioners that have been put on that board in the last however many years, I believe the vote has been unanimous on all commissioners not just one person putting their quote-unquote cronies on the board. Every single person has voted
No, we function as a board.
unanimously
Yeah.
to put these people on the board. So that's something else that should be noted.
That's a good call out. Again, if I may add.
Oh, you may, please, by all means.
Because I am getting a lot of questions. A lot of people are asking questions about how park commissioners are appointed. Park commissioners are appointed by the Board of Township Trustees. They are volunteers. Park commissioners are volunteers. It is not a guaranteed appointment for, more than the 3 years that they are appointed. The terms of park commissioners expire on the second Monday of May. And so the Board of Township Trustees typically makes those appointments after interviewing the candidates. They interview candidates, then they make the appointments, typically anywhere from March or April to early May in some situations. One of the situations I think is important for folks to remember, the Park Board is a volunteer group of members. They are volunteers. They are spending taxpayer dollars as they have the right to do as a separate political subdivision. But this board is elected, and as the individuals, or excuse me, as the board that appoints park commissioners, they have a responsibility to ensure those volunteers are doing what they think is best for this community. The residents do not have the authority or the ability to vote on park commissioners because they're volunteers. You do have the authority and the ability to vote for elected officials such as the Board of Township Trustees or the school board. So I just want to make that clear. The Park District is a separate political subdivision. They do have a separate budget. They do have authority within the Ohio Revised Code, but again, it is a volunteer group that is spending taxpayer dollars. That is why this Board of Township Trustees takes these appointments so seriously.
Well said.
Thank you.
Very well said.
We have one more item for the board's consideration this evening, and that is the Hamilton County Stormwater District level of service and fees for the coming year. These services that are provided to the community deal with the mandated stormwater compliance services that are mandated by the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, Hamilton County Stormwater Phase 2 permit services. These are all provided by the county, and then that cost, based on Board of Township Trustees approval, is passed on to homeowners, property owners, through their tax assessments. The estimated total for 2026 services would be $15.14 per square foot use. So there is a resolution before you, or excuse me, a motion before you for your consideration.
I move that the Township Administrator be and is hereby authorized to execute on behalf of this board the Stormwater District level of service options for service fees for 2026 with the Hamilton County Stormwater District in substantially the form before this board with such changes thereto as shall not, in her judgment after consultation with the law director, be detrimental to the township, such determination being evidenced by her execution of said agreement. This board further requests that the Hamilton County Stormwater District use a portion of these fees to investigate methods to minimize the impacts of stormwater quantity.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all we have this evening.
Thanks, Vicki.
Thank you, Vicki, and everyone that came and attended. Our next regularly scheduled monthly board meeting will be April 17th at 5 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. And I move to adjourn.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.